Hi, I'm Jeff Sharon from UCF Sports Night. You can now watch UCF TV 24 hours a day on Bright House Digital Channel 1.
That international connection is critical to our economy. Companies that are international grow 15 to 20% faster than others. It's real simple. Bigger market. They don't have all their eggs in one basket. They pay higher wages. There is no product or service that's not exportable. You can't name it. If you can name it, let me know and I'll buy you lunch anywhere in town you want to go. I've exported ice makers to Iceland. I've exported sand to Egypt and tumbleweed to Japan. So if you can do that, you can do anything. So the market is there. The demand is there. The world is not getting smaller. It is already small. You could phone, fax, email, or freight anywhere, anytime, instantaneously. I'm taking off in a plane in Lima, Peru, and going down the runway, and my phone rings about a project in Florida that we're working with a company. I answer the phone. I had about 3 minutes to talk, and I said, you know, I'm in a meeting. Could I call you back in about 2 hours? And I landed in Santiago, Chile, and called the man back in Miami, and we finished the deal. He had no idea where I was. He said there was a little noise in the background, but I'm not going to worry about that. Where else can we facilitate trade by this? There's more power in this Palm Pilot than the Apollo that landed, as you've heard, on the moon. I've got more power right here. I am connected 724. The problem is we're a little bit too connected probably sometimes. One of the things that we looked at as we look at Enterprise Florida is we have competition, and our competition is north of us with a couple of states north of here, and west of us maybe in Texas and California. But the biggest gains that we have had has been in our global branding and our positioning around the world. As you'll see, we clearly had the high ground on 2 or 3 things. Quality of life was absolutely fabulous here. Sun, activities, tourism is wonderful. That's not an issue. Of course, we've got the tax situation with no state income tax. It is no mean thing to forget. It is absolutely. A company I can move out of Boston, technical companies I move out, the first day I open them here, their bottom line, they save 20% in taxes the first day they open, period. 20%. Why aren't they running down here? We don't market against Boston. They have tremendous clusters of biotech and activities there, but as they move their operations and want to enhance their footprint, we want to put them in Florida because they're looking other places. But they are shocked about what they can save while they come in the market. Promoting exports. We advertise on NPR. When I joined Enterprise, we started looking at the budget, and I saw what we paid for NPR, and I went, oh my gosh. And I'm thinking, you know, you only have so many dollars to spend. And what had happened is Enterprise had developed a strategy to do a C-level assessment and interviews to see what the impact was out there and who's listening to us. Because it's the CEOs, the CFOs, the COOs, it's anybody who sees TV. I mean, it's tourists that are coming here. How are we capturing them to keep them here? A family that would come to Liverpool, who the family might be in manufacturing, can we pick a piece up of that company and have them locate one of their operations here? Biotech, we were in Edinburgh and we met with companies. Well, we found that it's amazing how many people listen to NPR. And so we use that in our branding as well as obviously our website and things like that. FDI, I'll talk more about that. Foreign direct investment is one of the things that you will never read about in the paper here. The impact of the money coming into this state is unbelievable. It's second only to tourism And number 3 would be the federal expenditures here with military and defense. We just finished a study that military and defense with 20 bases, 3 major commands, and 1 million employees counts for $60 billion a year of this economy. Right above that is our foreign direct investment that is coming into the state, and of course, the high ground is we will never give up is the tourism and that activity. Economic opportunity is what we're all about. And finally, we're a private entity. About 10 years ago, it was decided to close down the Department of Commerce and let's run at the speed of business. And so we run a full business model. The chairman of our board is the governor. Charlie Crist, which is just great because the governor gets it, the legislature gets it. I don't know how other states can do it if they are not pro-business at the government level. I don't get it. There's states, other states, I won't mention their names, that they think it's real cute to tax business. Well, if you want to drive business, I love it. If you want to drive business to Florida, just tax them 5 or 10 more percent, because 10% might be their margin, and they're moving out to Colorado, Texas, Nevada, and Florida. So we love it. We support taxes for other people, but not for us. The public-private entity and the business part of this in running a business model is important, that we run a full ROI, return on investment. And the reason that we put so much emphasis on this is the people, the companies we deal with run in a real-time business environment. Our staff is basically 7/24. Our projects are worldwide. Today I have people traveling from our office in I think 5 countries. We've got our dozen offices. We've got a tremendous activity going on in trying to make sure that we remain competitive. And we think the business model is the way to do it. One of the things at the bottom down there that's so critical in this is the effective partner network. That includes the universities, that includes our economic development entities like Orlando and statewide, our connections with our state governments, our chambers, and this type of activity, because while we think we're out there cheerleading and moving the ball forward, it is so critical to have everybody at the table when a lot of these decisions are being made. When a company comes to look for a site, we don't pick it. I wished I was that powerful. But I don't pick it. Our staff doesn't pick it, unless the company says, I want to go to this town in Florida, and that's it. Which tells us they've already been down here secretly nosing around in the state and trying to figure out. But when a company will come here, and we're dealing with a lot of international companies, they'll say they'll do the following things. We want to be near a university so we can tap into their research. We need to be near a highway, about an hour from an airport. They don't have to say beach, because you can drive an hour and a half and be in sand, so we've got that covered. And we want these factors. We run that through our model, and we might come up with 6, 8, 10 locations. What happens is they don't pick from the list, they eliminate down from the list. And so the secret of this process is you want to be in the final 2 or 3. And at that point, the company will be picking the location that they go to. And this is so very important, because the recent bio, we did $1 billion in bio in the last 14 months. You know the story: Burnham, Torrey Pines, SRI, Moffitt, Merck, that expansion. I mean, we've been on a heck of a roll here. But those companies are in competition for picking the site and the friendly site where they want to go. The way we're able to do this and be competitive when we deal with these international companies, Max Planck out of Germany. It started at a dinner 3 years ago. Would you like to move to Florida? I said, Florida? I thought that's where Mickey Mouse and Disneyland was. We're not sure we can do in Florida. No, you need to look at Florida. Well, we aren't sure. Well, they did not have a footprint in the U.S. Max Planck out of Germany, massive research operation, just opened a $100 million facility, or will be opening it shortly in South Florida. So it begins with identifying it, but what drove the project were the local partners in the communities, in the universities, because I'll tell you what they ask us. They can go anywhere they want to. They've got plenty of money. Our most critical factor right now is the labor and the individuals to staff these operations. That's the challenge. That is the critical factor as we move forward. Business climate, competitiveness. What do I think about at night? I'm worried about if we're being competitive. Sustainable development, that's a huge term. It's all these things that we're looking over the horizon to make sure we bring from the international economy. Innovation, preeminent global hub. You can't assume we're doing everything. No asuma nada. Do not lay back. We push it hard, because when you let up is when you will have a problem. And the diversification of the economy. One of our big concerns is we don't want to build the last chip factory in the network. We don't want to build the last company that's the old technology. We don't have crystal balls, but we spend a lot of time looking over the horizon. Let me give you an example, nanotechnology. All these universities running around like crazy wanting to put a nanotechnology facility on it. And we've got nanotechnology being done here, but all of a sudden it dawned on us, wait a minute, what's nanotechnology in? What one industry? Can you name the one industry? It's none. It's across the board. It's in medicine, aviation for the skin of the new 787, construction, materials, and everything. So it dawned on us, let's be careful to be strategic to make sure we plug into the industries we're in and internationally be able to bring in that global competitiveness, that nano part goes across all the lines. We almost stepped into spending a lot of money where it might have been not very, very smart. Targeted areas. We get a lot of questions about this. Life sciences is pretty obvious. I mean, Orlando is clearly the hub in this area. We're absolutely blowing the doors off. IT is a subset of that. IT obviously crosses these lines, and you will have crosses in many of these lines. But we're talking about our strategic targets. Enterprise Florida does a strategic plan for the state. We finish it every year, and we present it to the governor and legislature. It's a 5-3-1 process, 5-year review, 3-year review, and updated each year. A year and a half ago, we went statewide, universities, campuses, companies, elected officials, small, medium, and large industries to see where the drive was. And this is where we're trying to make sure we put our energies. We target everything. Hotel wants to talk to us about expanding at Disney, we talk to them. Company wants to put in distribution facilities outside of a port, you don't see that on there, but it's connected with manufacturing, we deal with all of that. But as far as putting our money and our resources in targeted areas where there's growth in the future, especially in the global economy where we have our greatest competition, these are the areas. Space. This is mile marker 1 to the universe, a few miles from here at the Cape. But everybody and his brother all of a sudden has discovered space. By the end of this year, as many as 15 countries will launch rockets above 87,000 feet, which is basically space. If they haven't launched it, they're part of a consortium that's doing it. We have folks that are buying Russian rockets right now and launching satellites into space. You got enough money, I'll sell you a rocket. What a deal. And the competition is going to get really, really critical moving forward. Defense and Homeland, a critical sector. The R&D in this sector in this state is it's just off the chart. We're business friendly. We're pro-American. There are people out there that want to hurt us. So we better be a part of the solution and a part of those things in our national defense to take care of it. This is not something that was invented the last 4 or 5 years. This was in Washington's final speech to the country. So clearly, we feel this. It doesn't matter whether you like the military or not or what you feel, but you got to feel better at night that we've got folks out there that are willing to be in harm's way. But more importantly, we've got individuals here, researchers and people that are doing simulation and all the great work in photonics that y'all do here that drive our ability to be very competitive. Financial services, huge sector here. Florida has been a very quiet magnet into Jacksonville area, Tampa, St. Pete, Miami in financial services. Critical component to everything is in financial. Manufacturing is across the board, whether it's marine, small manufacturing. There's roughly 17,000 manufacturers in the state. What we try to do is, as companies come in, is match up the expertise of those companies that want to come in to the state with those components that will enhance their business, better known as the multiplier. These companies that I talk about, Burnham, Torrey Pines, SRI. I went out to SRI. Let me tell you a great story. We went out to, we can talk about it now. A lot of our projects are done very confidential because of a lot of, IP questions or intellectual property questions. But we fly out to Stanford, and I'd never been out there before. And wanted to meet over the weekend, so we went to Stanford Research Institute. And we walk into the lobby, and it looks like something out of the 1960s or 70s. It's just kind of, I expect Fonzie to come walking out or something like that. And I'm waiting there, and the ladies at the table there, and the reception room is, I'm going, this is supposed to be one of the top, here I'm at Stanford, I'm expecting to see all kind of bells and whistles. I look over there in the corner on a little stand, a little podium, and it's got this little yellowing box. And I asked the lady, I said, what is that? So I walk over there, and it's a chunk of something that looks like a brick with 4 wheels on it with wires coming out of it. She says, oh, that's the first mouse. I said, the first mouse? I mean, you mean like click and mouse and this mouse? She said, yeah, we've had that for years. She said, take a look at it because the Smithsonian's going to come pick it up pretty soon and take it to Washington. So here we are sitting with a company that invented the mouse. Across the top of the table, they had Academy Award, what do you call them? Academy Award statues, Oscars. I'm going, they're sitting up on a 12-inch board up there all dusty. I'm going, what is going on? This is for a high-tech simulation background stuff that they've done for all these films through the year. I said, we want this company in Florida. And of course, it does happen. So you don't know where these paths are going to go and how they're going to work. But it's just fascinating that the companies and the things we have and to be able to bring that technology into the state. What's the impact of this? Let me quickly do that. I've got a couple of international slides here. We threw off $2.7 billion in labor with the projects that we did the past year. The last 2 years, we did nearly $500 million in state and tax revenue back. This is hard money back to the state. The state GSP is about $720 billion, somewhere in that area north of that, and enterprise threw off nearly $4 billion. And I wished I was a private company because we'd be a good candidate for a hostile takeover with an ROI of 524. And we're watched and we're evaluated about how we can drive that. Now, let's look at Florida and the international activities. Our headquarters is here. Someone did that. I thought that was a fabulous decision way before my time. We have offices in Tallahassee. We have a tremendous international group in Miami at Coral Gables. And you'll hear from Manny Macia later, who will go into great detail on the services. We do some 36 programs worldwide, inbound and outbound, dealing with companies. But to help assist this, we have field offices in a half a dozen locations around the state. This state is so great with individual localized entities, whether it's Orlando or the Beacon in Miami or Jacksonville or the Great Northwest, that are out in the international market and are working to go into the shows to be there. We did 3 shows in Dubai. I'm thinking, whoo, what are we doing in Dubai? Well, we did a medical show that is now Arab Health, that is fabulous. We did the aviation show because of the driven aviation. And what would be more natural than for Florida? We did a boat show there. And it's some $20 million in business by small and medium companies that had never been in the international market alone, but went into this market to find these products or sell their products and make it available in the market. So it's very, very good process. Our footprint around the world is we have a network of some 12 offices in which we work through on contract to deliver our services and help export products from the state, as well as attract and identify foreign direct investment. We're the only state in the nation with an Andean office. We opened it in Bogota. We felt it was very strategic. Once you get down there, you realize what the dynamics is happening there. Brazil is off the chart. Our #1 trading partner on that map is Brazil at $13 billion and growing. Canada would be #2 with Europe and very close to that, and Manny will give you the exact numbers later. Our European growth is very specialized. Probably our #1 foreign direct investors are from the UK and the EU. But as we look at this, we realize that the growth is going to be there. And finally, of course, the Pacific Rim and Africa are critical to us. We keep looking at the opportunities there. A lot of people will tell you, well, that's the California thing. Why is Florida playing in that game? Well, we need to be in that game because of the growth and demand and the investment, and we're looking at those opportunities now. A couple things that I think that are pretty obvious. Business climate here is favorable. State regulatory framework, in spite of complaints we get and stuff, we think it's still very competitive. Incentives, we work with companies. We don't give away money. It's performance-based. When you hear a company receiving $40 million, we don't write them a check for $40 million. They'll receive that money over a 7 to 10 year period, and they have to do so much investment and create so many jobs to receive that money. So they don't receive a check, and that's the media. We go over it and over it with them, and they opened up a facility here and said, well, they're going to have 40 jobs, and you gave them $40 million. That must be $1 million a job. And we had briefed them. Well, they printed it, So what do? They've got more ink and paper than we do, so you can't fight that. We just keep telling the story. High-skilled, multilingual workforce. A quarter of our population here speak at least 2 languages. Do you know that? Unbelievable. Research and tech base, that's a given here. You're aware of that. Quality of life, innovation hub, and pro-business. I've addressed all those. Back to the strategic location. We are spending more time working on the strategic location. For instance, we were just in Panama. The canal is going to do an $18 billion expansion of the Panama Canal. We think there is going to be a tremendous opportunity for Florida countries across the board in services and products to help them and to provide these products to them. We are strategically located. The state, there are 14 ports, of which there are 7 major international ports that we're bringing commerce to and that are all growing, that are all critical to the economy. And as a result of that, the Panama link would be continuing to be a real part of that. 2 final slides. 40,000 companies in this state now export. It's over 16% of all U.S. exports. The jobs, over 1 million. Our foreign trade total is over 115 billion. That's up from about 90 in the last 3 months. High-tech exporter and gateway to the Americas. In terms of foreign direct investment, we're the number 5 in affiliated companies. You'll notice that we rank 2nd in the Southeast in FDI. And the interesting one at the bottom there is Spain. We have an office in Madrid that's just unbelievable. Spain has discovered Florida. And in every, that's a pun. Spain has discovered Florida for the 2nd time. Yeah, Mr. Ponce de Leon was rolling over in his grave right now. But they have rediscovered Florida in such a way that they are coming in with a lot of small, medium-sized investment that is across the board and really becoming a part of our economy, and it's been a real bright spot. But we have it in other areas, but it's one that all of a sudden we weren't. Brazil, the Brazilian community here in Orlando, I mean, it's just incredible the pockets of industry that we have in the state internationally. And these are folks that we do business with. And with that, as I indicated, I think obviously the international is alive and well. I think that clearly the sky is not falling. The Florida positioning compared to other areas who are not diversifying their economy and enhancing their international clearly are losing a lot. We really don't want them to know how we do it because we continue to try to do it better. We don't have all the answers, but we think that the model here works quite well. And one thing I'll leave you with, and people do this and I hate it, but I'm going to do it anyway, eflorida.com. That's our website. We got 400,000 pages and all kind of wonderful stuff. And of course, you can find us if you have any questions. So with that, thank you very much.